Years America was like a ship with no rudder, tossed around, drifting toward the abyss of wokeness and moral decay. It all started with Obama. Division, identity politics, no more middle ground, just left and right, and the left was winning. Then came 2016. Trump stepped up. And for a moment, we remembered what it felt like to be Americans again. But then COVID hit. The globalists seized control. Obama 2.0 came back with Biden as the puppet. Churches shut down, voices silenced, patriots thrown in jail. Wokeness spread like a virus, and if you dared to speak up, you were canceled, fired, or worse, arrested like the J6 ears. But we're not done. The fight isn't over. The future doesn't belong to cowards, it belongs to the bold. It's not the GOP that's going to save this country. It's Trump. It's MAGA. It's you.
That was an interesting.
I have to agree with that too, because I mean, it's like I don't think it's like it's not the Republican Party that people voted for. It was the agenda that Donald Trump brought to the table, and nothing else. I mean, I know people who would have voted for, would never have voted for, a Republican before would have voted for Trump because of the personality of Trump. And there is, of course, a problem with that. I mean, that you get the cult of personality and stuff like that, become part of a political party and stuff like that. But I mean, I think that I think he did a great job of galvanizing people. I mean, he brought his own vice president into the fold, and his vice president was a never Trumper to start out. J.D. Vance did not like Donald Trump first in 2016. So and somehow you managed to pull that off. So I mean, I think you did quite well. But
if you remember right, when Donald Trump came in before 2016, you had Mitt Romney at 212. And you had you had a Republican Party that was flailing. I mean, everybody was saying in 2016 it was going to be Jeb Bush that was going to come in and save the whole thing, and he was one heartbeat away from a corpse. Right. Honestly, he looked like that. And it was all the blue blood, and it was just going to stay the blue blood all the way through. It was just going to stay the Democratic Party. Now they've actually the Democratic Party now is actually saying it is more the Socialist Party that's leading in the Democratic Party than it's the moderates.
Right.
And Trump has turned the Republican Party into being cool and into common sense, and has turned it into the party of people actually saying, hey, you know what, the working class, they have done more. You've got Bernie Sanders who's standing there saying that the reason why the Democratic Party lost in 2016 and 2024 is because they have done little to step up for the working class and the middle class. I would take it one step further. No, it's not that they haven't stepped up for the middle class or the working class. They've put their foot on the throat of the working class and the middle class. They've told everybody that's white and straight and you're a male, man, you just need to get away from it.
Yeah, they just want us to die off. I mean, it's like, I mean, I never seen such an era where everybody's so attacking everybody for everything there. Like some things they can't help. I mean, most things, like, I mean, race or whatever, you can't help the race you're born. Now you can race, maybe you can adjust your political ideology or something like that to try to accommodate those who are maybe disenfranchised or feel like they're disenfranchised. But I think it's ridiculous to think that basically they just got to give up their own interests. I mean, that's an absurd notion. And it seems like the socialists, the progressives, have this tendency to want us to toss out our own interests. We're just supposed to say, okay, I'm so many years old, I'm going to die soon, so I don't care what, my children's future, whatever. I forfeit that for the future because I want to build this. It's ridiculous. They just expect people to die off, and then they're willing to do it. I mean, quite frankly, the rhetoric is just BS. I mean, I've never seen such intense, like, it's like whites are openly attacked. I mean, you can't say this about this group. You can't say this about that group, but you can say white people, this, white males, vilified, demonized. I mean, and cast and lard to do sweeping generalizations. But I mean, anyway,
well, this has been tested for a long time.
Right.
This has been tested for a long time underneath Christians. For the longest time, they went after Christians forever. Like, okay, here's the way they did it. If you say anything about us, like if you say anything about a Christian, then that's okay. But if a Christian said anything to you, well, where's your love? Where's your Jesus? Where's anything like? And then it's always like, well, God this, and how, if your God's so good, then why is this not? So we could always attack Christians, or we could always attack a Southern, or we can always attack somebody down South, right? Because that's it. Then Obama came out and started testing it when he started saying, guys in West Virginia, they use cling to their God and their guns.
Right.
And then everybody thought that was cool to put down people in the small little towns of small countries because they weren't, or in small states. They weren't in California, and they weren't in New York, or they weren't in Chicago where he came from. But the thing that I always ask with Barack Obama was this: you weren't raised by your African American culture.
No,
You were raised by you were raised with privilege by your white grandparents,
right.
that your grandparents worked their rear ends off to give you everything to get you into a good college.
Right. His dad was largely absent. I mean, conversation with my father or something. I think was the name of the second book, other than the Audacity. It came after Audacity of Hope, and I think it came after. And basically, it was like imaginary conversations he had with his dad because he only met his dad or been around his dad once or twice in his entire
Right,
life. And his dad was also politically leaning towards or Marxist, clearly cut,
right.
from an African nation. Was it where was it, Kenya or
Kenya.
Kenya? Yeah, so Kenya, because it's like I remember, but yeah, I mean, he did not grow up. He was not the average American black life, family life, or whatever. He didn't grow up in that. I mean, he went to schools on the U.S. taxpayers' dime. Obama did. I
Right.
mean, he went as a foreign student, a foreign exchange student, basically.
Well, he says he was a foreign exchange student, but he wasn't. Here's the thing: he was not a foreign exchange student because his grandparents and his mother was from his grandparents. His grandmother was like one of the high people in her town when she was one of the high county officials.
Yeah, so you see,
So, and her grandfather, I think his grandpa was well to do in his role too. So they were very well to do.
yeah,
So don't give me this, sob story. You went into then he said that he was, what was his job?
he was a community organizer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what that really meant? Because you read his book, it was meant that he was selling drugs on the side to different white people. That's exactly what was going on. So the whole problem is that you kind of, and he writes it in his book, and you sit here and have a problem with Donald Trump saying or doing what he does.
mhm. So yeah,
That's the problem.
so I just no, I just think that he just got by with saying I'm the people say he was the first black candidate. He really was half white, half black, so I mean, he wasn't truly black. He didn't have the experience of the kids. I mean, the thing is, I grew up around blacks who were their family members were employed by GM.
Right.
They had good incomes.
Right.
I mean, I went to parties of their houses. They were in better houses than mine.
Right.
Brick homes,
Right.
finished basements, bars, and bathrooms down in the
Right.
basement and stuff like that. That didn't come from much later for me. Okay, so I mean, I never grew up with this expectation of blacks having to live a degrading lifestyle, in tenements or anything else like they would be in maybe in New York or Chicago. They had affluence. They had their own house.
Right.
They didn't grow up packed on top of each other and stuff. So I mean, um, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess I don't want to spend too much time on that, but anyway, we'll go move on. But anyway, Fetterman, John Fetterman, the guy who used to be was a governor of Pennsylvania, now was a senator from Pennsylvania. He refuses to resign amid fitness concerns, and he's like, is a person I've kind of, since he's been more in the public eye since Trump got in position
Right.
again, he's been more conciliatory towards MAGA and Republicans and stuff like that try to work together, which I think is very beneficial. But I guess he's been showing some signs that people are questioning because he did have serious health problems
Right.
before Trump came into office. And
Well, and the Democrats said that, and the Democrats said, if you do anything or if you say anything, um, if you do or say anything about this, you know, if you say do anything about this guy and
mhm,
his health issues, then they were going after anybody that said anything. Now, because he is actually saying stuff about this, then oh my God, you're a bad person.
well, see,
So
yeah, that's another thing. Is it's a double standard. It's typical for the progressives. They always have a double standard. We can say this and you can't say that. Oh, wait a minute. Now we're going to say this. You still can't say that. Or no, no, no. We want you to join in the chorus. You got to have a script. You got to be able to read their mind or something because you got to have their whatever you do. You got to have their approval.
no,
I
you
mean, it's
don't,
like
and that's the whole problem.
that's
The Democrats have tried to take over, and I'm not saying, and please understand, I'm not talking about local
right.
Democrats, and I'm not talking about our friends that we have different. I'm talking about the Democratic Party that are in DC that's running everything, right? Or I'm talking about the guys that took and let Kamala Harris overspend her budget and took from everybody who actually sent money in, over what was it, $100 million or one
I don't
almost a
know.
billion dollars to
All
spend in 100 days. Um, but anyways, all the stuff that goes on, these guys are fighting everything that they're okay sending $20 million to Iran to let Bert and Ernie's
yeah,
for Bert and Ernie show. I
yeah,
mean, for Sesame Street.
right.
but they're okay for a person down the street suffering down the street. That's okay. But $20 million go over here and they'll fight that.
Yeah.
They're okay with a wife beater and a guy that travels people. But here's the thing: Fetterman, because he's now agreeing with the MAGA, now he's got to go because they have nothing else to go with. So no, I think we need to stick up for Fetterman now. And I think his thing is that when he's agreeing with you, that's okay. But when he's not agreeing with you, wait a second. Where's that double? Like you said, when that double standard come? When did that come into play?
Right. Another
I
thing
don't
is,
understand that.
another thing, I did see a video of him sitting on a park bench, and I couldn't see the interviewer. It was a woman, and she had a camera on him, and she was like going off on him because she's a Jewish as well, but so is Fetterman. She was going off about his support of Israel despite the genocide that's going on, or whatever you want to call it. I say mass murder of people who are indigenous, people like that are nearly indigenous. And I would say I don't know if they're indigenous, but whatever. When you're mass murdering people, I think that's kind of considered genocide. But that's just my opinion. But anyway, he was like, basically he's a person between the rock and the hard place. I mean, he's got whatever kind of he's got pressure coming from people from his own ethnic,
Right.
religious, political leaning group, and also now people are trying to get him to resign or leave office because of his health concerns. So that's going to be double pressure on this man. I mean, I hope he can bear it. I mean, he seems to be a resilient individual.
He's very much common
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
And I think he'll hold. I think he'll hold off.
I mean, but it must be hard for a person who is Jewish. It doesn't mean maybe. I mean, it's hard to walk the line. If you're a Jewish person, you probably do want Israel to have their own country, be a country, independent, and all that. But then it doesn't mean to give carte blanche approval. I mean, of what's going on there either.
Well,
I don't care approval. My country does myself.
All right. So with that, have you heard about Trump removing the the money from Harvard, the $2 billion?
Yeah, I've heard about that. I mean,
What's your thoughts on that?
well, the thing is, I don't see why they're over. I mean, it was like University of Michigan. I mean, University of Michigan. When I worked with the University of Michigan, I mean, I knew people who worked in the county offices, and they knew inside information about. They had huge endowments that are left by billionaire, by corporations.
Mhm.
Done, a lot of research is done by, in these major institutions such as Harvard, Yale, Princeton, U of M. Of course, more of U of M, Ann Arbor than Flint, but they give that so like they can use it to. Corporations give that so they can actually use it to gain market share. They
Right.
get more basic. It's research and further development for new programs, new products or whatever, new services. So I mean, there's always kind of a commercial interest there, and people want to. They always think it's for knowledge sake, but no, there's billions and billions of dollars. These are like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, the major, what they call the Ivy League and near Ivy League or the new Ivy League schools have. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't translate well to money for the people who work in those places. Tell you that if some of the professors got like rock star money coming in, I mean, like,
Right.
well, actually, Obama, he taught
Right.
at Harvard, he got $1 million for teaching a class he barely taught.
Right.
Okay, and so that's not the indicative of all the
Right.
professors, all the colleges. I
Right.
mean, some of them make 75 to 100,000. I mean, I knew someone made that much. U of M, Flint, actually did they got paid a lot less than probably they would at Ann Arbor. And it's
Right.
the same thing for Dearborn.
Right. Because it's a different.
Right.
It's a satellite. It's a satellite.
Yeah, satellite
Right.
campus. But I mean, yeah, they just. I mean, I don't know about. I mean, I think withholding funds. I mean, okay, the money could be better spent. I mean, if they got all this largesse they're sitting upon, all this money sitting upon, why do they have so? I mean, why do they keep on coming to the federal government to get funding?
Well, I don't think the federal government should ever be paying these colleges money.
Well, see, there's
Why does Harvard need $2 billion?
that's well for I went hard place to. I mean, of course, they have operating costs like every other institution does. They also have maintenance costs. They're always building. U of M, Ann Arbor is always building. I mean, last time I saw they had like 3 more buildings in the works that I saw in one of the publications. I mean, that's millions and millions of dollars. You're talking probably 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollars down in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
So when you're talking about the real estate and the East Coast and stuff
Right.
like that, and eventually they're going to run out of room on the campus, so they're going to have to acquire, commercial
Right.
properties and stuff like that, or residential properties. Those people know they're sitting on a gold mine, so
Right.
so they're going to ask for that. But I mean, I don't want to see. I do. I mean, I have to. It's a hard thing for me to actually totally criticize having colleges well funded, universities well
Right.
funded. I have a hard time seeing it because I think you never know where this lightning bolt of information is going to come from. It's might even be coming from something that's totally unrelated to the field you think you're in.
Right.
But you never know. But I mean, I don't know why. I mean, what I've seen of they're fat. I mean, they're super fat. I mean,
They have
all those
$52
colleges,
billion in reserve.
52 billion.
They have $52 billion in reserve. They're suing the federal government because Donald Trump said, "Yeah, that $2 billion that you think you're getting, you're not doing it because of this, because of these marches that are putting these kids at risk." Now, you and I both have our we have We step on different sides of the rule
Mhm.
when it comes to Israel. But what I think we both agree, and I think Steve agrees that when kids go from their dorms to the when a kid goes from their dorm to class, they should not be harassed.
All right.
I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're Israelite. I don't care whatever you are. I don't think there should be a protest on campus
No.
at all. You want to protest? You find another place across the city, the state, or something. You protest. You don't protest on campus.
Well, see, another thing is, I mean, if they should be in a college, and even if they had a protest going on campus, doesn't mean. I mean, you should have the wherewithal and the intelligence enough, or the ability to see that there's such thing as just intellectual debate, and that could be part of the intellectual debate. But let's face it, they're gonna. There's no way any Jewish student on those campuses can't see it as a creation of a hostile place. Same with the Arabs, Arab students in a population of mostly, leaning towards Israel, Zionist ideas, or pro-Israel things on a college campus. I mean, that's unfortunate, because that's what the university is supposed to be about: the meeting of ideas, the challenging of ideas, the dispensation of ideas, and actually the dissemination of information, so they can be assailed or they can be bolstered. That's what that's all about.
Right.
Because I mean, when I was at college campus, I learned more at the smoking section, and I didn't smoke, arguing
I
with
did
people,
too.
arguing with people, than I did in the classrooms.
Right.
So I mean, I can understand that, but I mean, I just think that it's the billions and billions of dollars are spending. I mean, it's costing more and more to send college kids to college, and yet they still got this. And I mean, you and I and Steve have both talked, all of us have talked about trade schools, vocation schools, actually being more viable and a quicker route to actually success, and stuff with like that, having all this huge overhead coming out, with hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I'd rather take that
But
$2 billion, put it toward trade school in a
yeah,
heartbeat.
yeah, trade school, like, right now, I mean, Flint Barbering Institute, or what it's called, it's one on Flushing Road. They just reopened. I think for the tuition there, $16,000 for the year. But you could come out and start making, if you got the full training and stuff, you can make 1,000,
Right.
1,500 bucks a week
Right.
doing your hairstyle. I mean, I've known people who lived good lifestyles years ago, of course.
Carpentry,
Yeah,
electrician,
yeah. So I mean,
plumbing.
that kind of stuff. I mean, $16,000. Okay, that's a big chunk, but you don't have to take a music appreciation class or a philosophy course, or whatever. And I loved all that stuff. I mean, I love the academic setting, but let's face it, you want to hit the ground running. So we want to get married, have kids. Let's face it, going the liberal arts thing, you're just condemning yourself to being almost like a monastic lifestyle,
Right.
basically. I mean, otherwise if you're just living on campus, getting high and fornicating,
That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I don't know. Trump is renaming the Persian Gulf to Arabian Gulf.
I don't.
I just read about that today when Steve was
Yeah.
handing things to us. What do you think?
I really haven't thought to, bro, to actually formulate an opinion about it. I mean, I like Trump, but I don't understand every move he makes, or I think he puts out there. I mean, the Gulf of Mexico, now the Gulf of America. Okay, I guess you could have said if Americas would have been more accurate, because
Right.
North and South
Mexico's
America,
right.
Central America. But it does look like it's, but I mean, I don't know what he's doing this for. I can't justify it. But see, you and I probably, I could say, maybe speak for you, even though we agree with somebody in the main, we can say some things like raise our eyebrows and say, "What the hell?" I mean, we
Right.
don't understand what's your motivation on that. So I'm going to wait this out to see what the motivation. I haven't got a chance to look that up, but
I
yeah,
kind of the same way. I'm just I think sometimes Trump puts something out there
yeah,
and lets everyone go bite on it, and then I just kind of let everyone jump.
yeah,
I think that's what he does. He lets everybody jump first, and then he comes out and does something else. He'll throw something stupid out, let everybody run and jump on the water for that, and then he sits back and does something common sense
yeah,
wise,
right,
and then that's what let him do something, say something that all the press is going to think is stupid,
yeah,
and I think that's it. I think the thing that drives everybody crazy is that. And I was thinking about this one day. I was telling this to Julie. We were talking about this one day driving home from a show and all this. The difference about this and what's driving everybody crazy is Trump is not a politician. If you really look at these classes of people, newspaper people are brainless.
yeah,
They really are. Honestly, they ask you a question, they think it's intelligent. All they can do is try to get gotcha, 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 because all they're looking for is bylines, bylines, bylines. Like we're looking for something to get us, like Steve's always trying to pull things out of what we talk about to
right,
get us up more views, more
right,
views, more views. And that's what he works on. He works his rear end off and giving
right,
us all the things for us to look at and for us to study. like the thing he did at the beginning. I thought was one of the best things
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
ever
it's
written.
something I couldn't do any better on that. I mean, he just the way it rolled and stuff like that was a great presentation. I mean,
He's probably one of the best guys, and where he's in front and
right,
behind, he
right.
does a lot. But the thing is that so I wouldn't call him brainless, but a lot of these guys that go up and ask these questions, if you hear these questions, you just look at them and think, when your mom and dad were conceiving you, did you like were they falling on the ground on a concrete brick? And did you when you fell out, did the doctor drop you on the floor?
Did you?
Because I don't know how you could actually exist and ask these questions. And then you have the politicians. And the politicians, they don't do anything. All they do is kiss people's sorry, but they kiss everybody's asses. I'm sorry, I'm not probably supposed to say that, but how about butts, I guess.
We could say asses. It's on the
Asses, okay.
internet. Yeah.
All right, so there you go, asses, and that's all they do. But see, here's the thing: this tariff stuff, everyone's all pissed off about it. But it took somebody as a businessman. Here's the reason why politicians are not great in CEOs and positions because Trump has the balls and the backbone. I don't care what you want to call it, but he had the balls to actually take a stand and say, you know what, we need to put tariffs on these countries because you're actually bending us over and taking advantage of us. See, the government's okay to get taken advantage of this guy from Louisiana, James Carville, the
Mm.
guy that looks like a Walking Dead guy.
I think he looks like a gargoyle, but yeah,
Yeah, the gargoyle
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
right? He sat there and they asked him in a debate, and he said, "Oh, it's okay to be taken advantage of by these other states. It's a good thing. If we're losing $100,000 and $10,000, that means we're in a good position. If you are losing $100,000 as a CEO of a corporation, you are going to get fired. Guess what? Guess what? If you look at the United States, we are called the United States and we're a corporation. We need somebody that's in that Oval Office as a president. We need a president who is like a president of a corporation who is running things, who's trying to make everybody's lives better to make it better. And that's what we needed. We needed somebody that came out with these tariffs that actually had balls to actually say, you know what? I'm not going to take advantage by the country no more. And that is what we're doing. And I think that's where we're going to. And so I'm looking at some of these things like Bessette, where he corrects waters on Joe Access in past meetings. He's actually standing up. Bessette is the guy that's in the room that's really straight, right straight to the point. He's not like over eccentric.
Mhm.
When he comes and says something, and it's really real. You got Maxine Waters who can't all she does is flaps her gums
Yep.
and she looks like an alien from another. So I don't know where she came from. I mean, but she looks like that one of those things from Mars. Have you ever seen this woman talk?
Yeah.
She just starts.
She-
I got rid of my TV set because I can't watch it no more.
just because of her.
I can't. She scares the living crap out of me. But he actually shut her down with facts, reminding everyone the Democrats struggle with the truth and memory.
So another thing is we move on to House Republicans propose selling public lands in the West. Yeah, I can see where the left, the progressives, the tree huggers, and all that going insane over this.
Why would they do that? That would
Because
make sense.
well, the thing is, I mean, they're going to point to Yosemite or what's Yellowstone, Yellowstone,
Yellowstone,
Yosemite,
yeah,
and all those other
right,
big parks and massive parks. And I mean, I want land set aside, just preserved for the natural setting and
right.
stuff.
Which
But
they will.
but I mean, I think I take a lot. I mean, wish I actually might actually get the break down. I actually started getting where I could see the series Landman, with
Right,
Billy Bob Thornton, because I've seen clips of that. They talk about land use. Of course, the one we've highlighted
right,
several times about the use of land and oil. And I mean, these heat tree huggers and these environmentalists and stuff like that they want expectations of us to get like, okay, we want to save the environment. Just do whatever we can. We'll do anything you demand from us. And we're going to alter our lifestyles irrevocably, and we're not going to have a lifestyle that's actually worth living. But you guys will, because you raised our consciousness. So you could stay doing, you could flit around, go around the world on on jets, using. But the rest of us will go back to like basically like a peasant existence. Try to live off the land. Oh no, we can't do that because we can't collect water. I mean, it's like these
right.
people are insane. I mean, we got a growing population. We have challenges to try to keep up economically, try to develop industry so we can actually keep the edge going. Because guess what? Like it or not, people like to have things, and they're going. The best way to get things is they have a job so they can get money so they can buy things.
Right.
That means you're going to have something produced. You produce something to sell to other people who have money or something to media exchange, so
Right.
you can have this lifestyle.
Right.
And I don't see them giving up a damn thing. These
No.
environmentalists. Matter of fact, that's their whole lifestyle is predicated upon making everybody else surrender their lifestyle so they can feel justified for their existence and get a big fat paycheck out of the way. And if
Oh.
anything comes in their way, they can actually invest in it. So anything is moving, like our legislators, like my favorite guy, what's his name? God, I keep on forgetting his name. The guy down there with the Crenshaw. Yeah, basically, they're in the business to make money, and then they want to denigrate you for concern about your own future. And
Right.
that's what it is. We got to have economic development. That means you're going to have to use some land. Now we have a brownfield across the river from this place.
Right.
That was used for the Buick site years ago, and now it's gone.
Right.
Okay, I'd like to see that maximized. It's already brownfields. Okay, unless you're going to be putting stuff in, or you're not going to be putting residential places like that. Redevelop the inner cities.
Right.
Those things vacated by former industries,
Right.
unless there's actually oozing toxin coming up from the grass or whatever, and it's going to make people sick. Obviously, deal with that. But I mean, okay, so it's tainted. It's good. You know what they consider contamination? The U of M, when they were putting in a building, they had a parking lot they had to take down, right?
Right.
They had, if the measurements for the soil sample actually showed like petroleum-based products in there. You know what actually equivalent to? In 5 or 10 yards of material, there'd been 1 teaspoon of oil mixed in that, or gasoline. That would be considered contamination. It was over $2 million just to remediate that area so they could build the building on top of it. That's absurd.
Most houses that had cars back
Yeah.
in the 1980s
Right.
would have that
Right,
because we changed our oil. We dumped it in the ground.
right. Matter of fact, I mean, some people would suggest that. I mean, I know guys that pour it alongside of their garage to keep the weeds down.
Yeah.
So I mean, and when you look at stuff that's chemical, like that Roundup stuff, oh God, that's horrible.
Oh God, yeah.
It's horrible. I mean, but oil, okay, it came from the ground anyway.
It's where it comes and where it goes.
It's like it's like real string polymers or whatever it's called. It's from the soil. It's broke down, organic material in the first place.
Water will purify itself by going through rocks, and it will purify itself.
Right.
The problem is that, okay, here's the deal. I figured it out Sunday. I figured out transgender living. I figured out a lot of things on Sunday shopping.
What'd you do? Get drunk when you were walking around?
No.
You're not supposed to. You see the wine thing. You're not.
I know. I wasn't supposed to go through the whole wine club and start drinking. No, we went shopping. We went grocery shopping, and they had this thing called tofuki. Turkey.
Yeah,
Turkey.
Yeah.
And I figured it out. I was watching all these people that were all like had their nose up in the air and buying this crap. And I thought, and I looked at Jules and I said, "Hey, I figured this out." She goes, "What did you figure out?" And I said, "If you're dumb enough to believe that that tofu and that turkey go together to make pepperoni,
Yeah.
you're dumb enough to actually believe that a male and a female can be in the same body."
Yeah.
And it's true. Every one of these people that would actually tell you that they don't know the difference between a male and female probably are buying the tofurkey pepperoni, buying all this organic. They will buy organic. Now, to get organic, that's so stupid. You know what I'm saying? And people would have to buy organic. And I had a friend of mine call me who was on the rich side, and they're like, they said, "Todd, I don't go to Costco."
Mm.
I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Because everything there's organic." Now I thought they would go to Costco because it's a little bit more. She goes, "It's too expensive because everything's organic. I'm going to go to Sam's." And they're like, everything over there is like 10 or 15% cheaper, and I can get more.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, basically people are always going to go with what I have this much coming in. I have this much to work with. I got to deal with that. And so, yeah, you can have the highfalutin ideas that I'm going to try to eat better. And I don't want nothing to go into my system that's impure. It's chemically exposed, which is ridiculous. Everything's been exposed to chemicals at this point. I mean, and besides, there is no standard. Or at least I don't think there's any standard for testing for organic is. I mean, at least a few years ago, there hadn't been established standards or whatever would be considered organic. It was basically, hey, this is organic, and they could stamp that on there. There was no oversight on that. And let's face it, I mean, and that's one thing I do believe in. FDA should definitely be, FDA and all those organizations about our food health and stuff those things should be financed well, because those are like a human, it connects to everything we do. So, I mean, that's not one of the expenditures government does that I roll my eyes at. I think it's very crucial. But I mean, no, I think it's an impossibility to have, you can't live totally healthy. You can't constantly worry about pure organic stuff because you got the mortgage, you got the car payment, the car insurance, the house insurance, your health insurance to pay off. So you're gonna try to find something to eat
Right.
with the leftover. Okay, so yeah, you can't go that purist route. I really don't think. But that's
Okay.
all tied to. By the way, that's all tied to the environmentalism and use of land and all that stuff. I mean, they don't want you to have farms and or in the inner cities.
Gardens or anything like that. They don't want you to have a garden in the back or anything like that.
And during the Second World War, they had victory guards where they actually encouraged people to because the food supply was being rationed and stuff like because a lot of it's being shipped to the troops abroad and people in other countries. Well, now let's face it, it's like we're looking like war to start up with India and Pakistan,
right?
And I guess India was the the one that fired the first rounds or whatever. I don't know. That's okay. Don't quote me on that. That's what I heard. But I mean, I think that we should start the local food production is crucial because let's face it. I mean, if there's going to be disruptions in transportation or whatever, you got to have stuff local. I mean, just go to the store. It's not going to be there because now it's coming on planes, trains, and automobiles or trucks or whatever. And if that's disrupted, you're going to be going hungry a lot of the time.
Growing your own garden is not a bad idea.
No,
having your own garden is not bad at all. I mean, it takes a little bit of work. Every night, a little bit of watering, a little bit of work, but you know what? You have your own corn, you have your own tomatoes.
Well, see, I've seen people do this in neighborhoods too, where they actually started
a community one.
Well, no, they actually somebody was really good at growing one particular thing. That's what they grew, and everybody else was growing things. They exchange. Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it's a specialization of labor. Who's ever heard of that?
Right?
But yeah.
And that's a smart move. That is a really smart move because, like, my next door neighbor can grow corn like there's no tomorrow.
Right.
Because we do that coffee.
Yeah.
We dump it on the tomatoes, and it just grows like vines. Is like out.
Yeah. What is it? Is it a phosphorus or what? No, what's in the coffee?
The coffee bean itself, when it breaks out, when the shells and everything, it breaks out. And it's like a manure type of thing but it only works on tomatoes.
Yeah. See, each plant's got their own nutrient quality.
Right.
So anyway, this shouldn't surprise anybody. Former USPS worker pleads guilty to ballot theft scheme. I think most of us were saying that.
Your dad worked for the post office, and I worked for the post office. Does this surprise you?
What do you say?
Was your dad working for the post office and
you worked for
right? Does this surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me, especially now in this given time frame and this political climate. You say back when my dad was first employed, like 1960s, that would have shocked me.
Right, you had been in jail.
Yeah, because let's face it, they had one guy arrested. I don't know if I have to tell the story, but he was arrested and they caught him with the things he was stealing from the mail, and he had from his wrist all the way up to way past his up here, wristwatches. What was up to here? Going back to Timex for service. They're all broken watches he was stealing.
You gotta be joking.
He was, and he had he'd been there for several years, and he was stealing broken watches. I mean, the idiot didn't dawn on he's going back to get serviced.
Oh my god.
I mean, and so and that was a shot. I mean, that was considered scandalous then. I mean, but now, stealing. I mean, changing the outcome of voting by doing what you're doing. I mean, to me, it's
Democrats will still say this doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's like, it's conspiracy. Well, everything is a conspiracy until it's finally. I mean, when they first start meeting, when they want to put Obama to run for office, when they showed up and started meeting, that was considered, technically considered a conspiracy. You mean so?
Well, look at now with the Doge.
Right.
That's a conspiracy.
Right.
Everything that Doge puts out, everything Doge puts out is a conspiracy. Anything that they don't like, that's bad. But anything that you bring up, oh my God, you're a conspiracy theorist.
That's when you get understanding, according to other maybe conspiracy theorists, that the source of the phrase conspiracy theorist was actually put up by the CIA. Whenever they got something that was broke through the news, they say, "Oh, that's a conspiracy," and they try to obviously discredit it because. And another thing is, but we're going to say this on the side though. I always thought it was weird when you get somebody who knows the information inside and out and knows how it's all interconnected, lays it out for you. But yet people prefer to take the 2-minute thing they heard on the TV news, back then it was TV news, as what there was an end all and be all thing of that, that subject matter. I mean, I knew guys who were conspiracy theorists, but everything they ever said it was happening did happen or was happening. And let's face it, I mean, they claimed that what was it? McCarthy, Joe McCarthy. Yeah, they said he was a radical nut job and stuff like this. And he saw communists everywhere. In the 90s, when they declassified the information from the Soviet Union, all the people he accused of being agents of the Soviet Union had been agents of the Soviet Union.
Right.
So I mean, they had been spies, they had been interlopers, infiltrators. I mean, and that happened. Started, he was, and he thing is, he had been a Democrat for, he voted for Roosevelt at least 3 times. I mean, I think he served 4 terms, that he died in the not even the halfway into the 4th term, that FDR did. So I mean, and so McCarthy he just changed. He had been a Republican for that long when he started bringing up the House on Un-American
Right.
activities, in front of the Senate and all that. So I mean, these people were actually he knew what he was talking about. He did his homework, as they would say.
Right.
So I mean, but anyway, and moving on here. DOJ agrees to settle Ashley Babbitt's wrongful death lawsuit. Um, okay, if it's just about money, I guess we should be satisfied with that. But I want the person who killed her, because she was unarmed. And why isn't this a big the cop or the security guard or whatever he was?
Who shot her?
It shot her. I mean, what was his last name?
I can't remember, but he was the one that cried in front of Congress too.
He cried in front of Congress.
Yep.
That he was like traumatized by shooting her.
Yeah, or he was traumatized by her because he felt scared.
An unarmed person scared a armed individual.
Yes. I think that was him. That was the one who came forward and said all this problems. But look at, hey, did you see where Trump was actually been teasing for the last few days at all these different press conferences about a big announcement coming up before he takes off on Monday?
No, see, I didn't hear about that. I mean, I just saw this, but I mean, do you have any idea what it is? Or
I don't know. I think it's going to be the first trade. I think it's going to be the first trade deal. He did tease on it yesterday when the Prime Minister of Canada was in town.
Okay.
He teased about that. And which, oh, by the way, the Prime Minister who came in from Canada, who was going to make a big stand against Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a big stand. In fact, it was a very good, cordial conversation. In fact, those two have a lot in common, because this guy was a money guy all the way through time. He's not a politician. He's a money guy. Now, he's a little bit more liberal than Trump, but they both are businessmen, and they both know what's right and what's wrong about different things. So I think this guy will be a good, I don't think he's going to be Justin Trudeau, who ran for the hills and was like basically a wuss every single time. Yeah.
I have to disagree with it, because I've just before we started doing this today, I overheard a video clip about him saying in the press conference, Kerry, the now Prime Minister of Canada, saying about at a certain time, with a couple of years, all the gas and all the cars on the road now are going to have to be phased out for environmental concerns. I mean,
in
Canada, yeah. So
that won't go.
I mean, I hope the hell it doesn't, because I mean, I don't see. I mean, I feel bad for the Canadians. They voted for him, I guess. I mean, I guess there's rumblings about what was it, Alberta trying to and showing desires to break away from Canada, which I know that even as weird as the left is in Canada, I don't think they're going to let that go unchallenged, and I hope it doesn't lead to bloodshed or violence toward that. I mean, it could, because the left likes to look like they come across benign and loving and concerned, but they're not.
No.
And I think they can be
They're
very
addictive. They're hateful, and they're
I mean, a much more. I don't really.
If it's not their way,
right.
they'll love you as long as you agree with what they say.
Right.
As long as you give them money, they'll love you.
Right. I'm fearful for the Canadians. I'm glad I'm not there, but I have friends I talk to on Facebook. That's all I know about. I never met them in person. And somewhere back, I have relatives on both sides of my mom's family and my dad's family, or in Canada, but we lost contact 100 years ago. Because one side went to one side, the Irish side of the family, the Collins. One side went to the United States, went to Canada. Like there's 8 brothers, 5 brothers, or whatever, one half one. And they were all in Canada until they had a big fight. And one said, "Screw you! I don't want to be in the same country." Came here. So I mean, there was a family split. The reason why my ancestors came to the United States, but
my neighbors were Canadians.
Canadians, yeah.
When I was growing up,
right.
And they worked at Fannie Mae.
Yeah,
that's where they met. And then when they retired, they came over here and lived.
Okay,
that woman had 14,000 miles on her car when she died.
She didn't go.
She drove that car. She had the car for 15 years.
About less than 1,000 a year, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went and drive that. She drove that car up to the bank every day to go count her money in the safety deposit box. And this is St. Helen. Went to the store on Sunday. Went to church and came home. And that was her whole trip. and that was it. She went to go get her bread, maybe a donut, maybe whatever she was gonna get for dinner that night, and that was it. After my grandpa died, sure, my because I they adopted me as like like I was like their adopted kid because they never had kids, and so I did everything over to their house and everything, and yeah, when we sold her car when she died, that car, the guy bought that car. She only had 4 oil changes in that car
That's
in
like,
15 years.
but that's all it would require because
No rust, no nothing. That car looked as immaculate as it came off. And he's like, I will pay you what it paid for what came off the thing. So it was funny.
now we kind of already we already touched upon the India-Pakistan
Right.
conflict and after airstrike, but do you think that's going to do you think that's going to seriously impact? We do get products. I think we get a lot of drugs from
Yes.
pharmaceutical drugs
From India.
from India. So
Right.
that could just
It's going to, if it impacts anything, it's going to impact the pharmaceutical. It's going to also impact, probably, it could even impact some of our computer programming
yeah.
if it
'Cause
gets really in intent because of stuff.
do you ever try to do coding yourself?
I'm trying a little bit now,
Yeah.
but a long time ago I did. In fact, the first degree I was going for was computer coding,
Really?
and I loved it. I mean, I did. When it first came out, that was long back with BASIC.
See, like my friend encouraged me to upload this app that was supposed to teach you how to do coding
Mhm.
and to give you like little practice sessions
Right.
with it. I did it for a day or two.
That's
Mind numbing stuff.
Yeah.
Mind numbing. I mean, just so exact and like like you got to do this and this, that, all procedural. And I I just I'm not like that. I mean, I'm not really good at that.
As
So
I've got older and what I've gone through for the last 6 months, I don't have that attention to detail. Like I don't have that.
Nick,
My brain doesn't stay focused as much as it used to. So I apologize.
I have the attention span of a cocker spaniel. With
That's
the-
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Mine's like, oh, squirrel,
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 squirrel.
bird, squirrel. Let's go for a walk. I mean, it's serious. I couldn't do that. And let's see the we'll go here to RFK's juniors exposes Fauci's role in risky virus research. I mean,
Okay, that was that where Fauci came across and said basically where Fauci lied.
yeah,
And actually, I think he was the one saying like he didn't need that pardon.
mhm,
So this is something I want to ask you about that too. I mean, I know it's
yeah.
not something we wrote, but is it constitutional? Is it constitutionally valid with the auto pin signing those pardons?
That's I wish Mr. Moss was here. He's in Africa, by the way, for 5 weeks.
I wish he was here because
Yeah,
this would
because
be
I
a
wish he was
question
here.
for
Because
him.
because well, for one thing, I don't see how a lot of these alphabet soup governmental agencies were even including the FBI were even permissible or allowable under the standards of the Constitution of the Bill of Rights. Because
Right,
there's a limitation of powers and stuff like
right,
that. I think they really overstepped all my bounds, but that's just my guess. And I'm like, I guess I'm an armchair, constitutional scholar or whatever.
right,
I'm no expert in that, but I mean, I passed by Mr. Moss, and I consider him quite of esteemed
right.
scholar on the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and he agreed with me on that. So I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think I don't know. I have a hard time, and I don't know. I'm not a constitutional
yeah,
scholar or anything, but I don't believe that those are illegal. I don't think those are legal.
no,
I don't think those are legitimate. And I think that it's going to be the Supreme Court's going to have to come down on that. And if they come down that they're not, Fauci's in a lot of trouble
yeah. But
because of the gain of function. And Trump just signed it after RFK came across with this. Trump just signed no more gain of functions. And all this time that Fauci's been going around saying basically RFK got in here, found out all the different emails, everything. All these years, Fauci's gone through and lied in front of Congress, in front of when he's been pulled up there. This all stuff that RFK's came out and exposed how much he's lied to the Democrat out in front of the hearings.
see, I've seen so many videos where they actually had Fauci saying one thing, and then like years ago, back when it
Right,
first started, and then more currently. And it just count. I mean, everything he says now is denying what he did, and he admitted to doing, gleefully admitting what he was doing
right,
and involved in. And now he's like saying he didn't do it.
right,
And it's like, okay, now there's a possibility somebody could be taking the information and creating a artificially, AI
right,
generated, video. But I remember him saying that stuff in the past myself,
right,
denying the, he kind of basically got groaned when anybody asked about the risk attached to these very experimental vaccines and stuff,
right,
basically just showing contempt for anybody and sneering at them. And he said, well, we never did this. We never did that. And it was like, you did too. You did prohibit
right.
this. You did prohibit that. So, I mean, I don't know. So I mean, and that's the thing is with the information age we have so much information. We don't know have a possibility of checking. It still comes out so fast.
Right.
How much if we can how we could check validity because a lot of that CGI, AI, CGI created stuff is so damn realistic. Like the other day, I saw a video of Morgan Freeman talking, and then at the end it said, "This is not Morgan
Right.
Freeman." It's like the intonation, the mannerisms, everything. It mimicked it perfectly. What I
Right.
know about Morgan Freeman, never having talked to the individual face to face.
Right.
So I mean, it's crazy that I mean but I certainly would say that I don't think other than that route, that possible extenuating possibility that it was AI created stuff. I remember hearing them when they were going on, before the house meetings and
Right.
all that stuff. He was saying that, and then he's saying, "I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
But
I
that
didn't say
stuff
that."
way back when he was saying it,
Yeah.
that stuff was not AI.
Yeah, so it's like
So that was true.
yeah, so I mean, I would say it, but I mean, of course, you're going to have those who are defenders. Another thing is too, I can't see how this is a left-right situation because left would probably want you to. Okay, they always say about my body, my choice. They always said about women and abortion, but it was not about the vaccine.
Right.
No, you got to do this. It's mandatory. And like Schwarzenegger, screw your freedom. No, you don't screw your freedom in a free, like a democratic republic. So I mean, if everybody jumped on board. It's so fearful of something like
Right.
this. Could you imagine if anything more intense actually shows up, slightly more intense, the fear and the rage and the terror these people are going to be involved in?
Well, it brought out one thing. COVID brought out how scared people can get
Right,
and how stupid. You know what it is? Divided everybody.
right,
It showed that if we put everybody in a room, in their own room by themselves, it put people. It really what it is destroyed everybody because of what it is put everybody out. So it made everybody hermits,
mhm.
and we not recovered. People now learn that they can live. They don't have to talk to their neighbors no more. Look how much people go out and talk to people. You don't sit and a lot people don't sit on their porches and talk to the people like we used to when we were growing up.
No, well, see, one thing I do kind of an anomaly, I guess, because where I live at, it's a small section, it's a dead end, basically.
Right.
There's like 3, 4 houses on there. Everyone does get along. We stop and talk to each other. We
Right.
do, to some degree. I mean, we won't exchange a lot of information, but we do have pleasantries, at least
Right.
beyond that. But anyway, but speaking of knowing your neighbor and how
Right.
did you get a real ID yet recently?
Not yet. I'm gonna go get one because my driver's license expires next year. So
Is that an automatic roll-in? If you renew your license, you get a real
well,
ID?
no, but you should be doing it. I think because you're supposed to be getting it now just to fly domestically.
Yeah.
So you got to get one. So
Where do you get it from?
yeah, I think Secretary of State.
Oh, say so.
Yeah.
I mean, just I
It's
just
like it's like getting a passport. You like how you get a passport,
Right.
you get the same thing.
do you have a passport card?
I have a passport.
Okay, you got a passport.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got a passport. I
But
can
those
fly
are kind
with.
of cumbersome to carry with you every day. I wouldn't want to do it because you could lose it so easy, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But the real ID is better because you just go with you wherever you go, just drop it in and it's fine.
I mean,
It's like a license.
but so did you have to pay more for it than you normally did for like the regular license or
Mhm.
yeah, you
Just
do?
a little bit more, but not
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it. But then again, if we really do want to have this, where we push back on the illegal immigration and stuff like that, I mean, that's what they like to create a scenario where you have to be forced to allow yourself to be more scrutinized. And that's what I don't like about it. I mean, if we hadn't gotten to this point, we wouldn't have probably needed the real ID. I'm serious.
My question about it is this: is that is all it is the government make more money? To be really honest with you, I swear to God, it's like driver's license was good. Why couldn't that work? You know what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
driver's license works just fine. Now we have to do a real ID because then that was up. One was you remember was an upgraded one where
Yeah.
if you got this, you could go to Canada or Mexico, right? It was an enchanted one where if you went to these two different countries, you could do that with this, right?
Right.
Or you could be this or be that. Now we went to the real ID where it can do this. Now, if the real ID will replace your passport and you can go anywhere across the country and across the world, then yeah, that works better. But this real ID, I really have a hard time with some of this stuff, but it's the government again. This is going to sound like I'm a wag job, but it's the truth. I think the government keeps trying to introduce more things, but I think it's the one way the government can make more money. We're going to charge you for your passport, but we're going to charge you for another
Well, it's
passport.
not only money,
Wait,
money they got now. They got just a little bit more information about you that
Yeah.
you have to give out each
which
time.
that they pass out to everybody.
And then let's face it. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them for marketing it to like, product manufacturers.
The security that the government has is about as secure as this wall is from falling down if you just busted it with a hammer. You
So,
know.
so are you personally affected by weight loss, Weight Watchers filing for bankruptcy?
Oh my God, yeah, that broke my heart. Really not. I could have.
I mean, how many we had? The Atkins diet was a rage several years ago,
Right.
and Weight Watchers was actually a long time ago. I mean, that was like
Weight Watchers is back with our parents, wasn't it?
they morphed. I mean, they
Right.
they changed up things. I think my grandmother had been with Weight
Right.
Watchers. I know she had been with Tops, take off pounds sensibly. You know,
Yeah, I remember that.
You know, there was no product line, but the Atkins diet was like you had bars and
Yep.
protein bars.
Yeah,
And
I
all
think
that
you
stuff.
still can do that. I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like yeah, I just
Then you had the carnivore diet. Then you
yeah,
had you had the carnivore diet because it was the Atkins diet, but then you had the carnivore diet, which is the same as Atkins diet, but we just changed the name of it.
right.
Then we went keto diet, then everybody wanted to have keto friendly, but the problem about keto is it's actually not good for you because that's what it is when a diabetic is really having a hard time with their blood sugar.
Seriously.
But that's okay. Now we have actors and actresses who are people who are because we're taking diabetic medicine. And last year we were having problems having last year, I think it was last year or the year before. Um, we couldn't get our diabetic medicine because people were using our medicine,
Ozempic, yeah.
Ozempic
Yeah.
and Trulicity and everything else. They were using it for losing weight.
So, do you think that this signals that Weight Watchers, Weight Watchers filing for bankruptcy shows that there's a proof that the outdated liberal wellness fads just can't keep up? Or
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it's-
I think that is too. I mean, I'm looking at stuff that I'm looking at videos of the 80s. I'm heavier than I should be, and I constantly walk and work out. Okay, I constantly
right.
do, but I mean, I'm bigger, way bigger than I should be, and I've looked at people in stores and just walking about. One thing, everybody's walking around with pajama bottoms, which I think is weird. I still wear jeans. I still take the time to reach, but
Right.
um,
Some
I
of them can't
we
fit in jeans. That's the
our
problem.
population's gotten so big. Like you go to Walmart. When I was a kid, what they call husky was hard to find.
Right.
Bigger kids' clothes. Now you got t-shirts and regular pants that offered at 5, 6 XL.
Right.
That's huge.
Right.
I mean, that's huge. I
Yeah,
mean,
but we don't have kids playing in the yard anymore. When you and I were growing up, we all played in the yard. When Steve, you and I were growing up, how many times did the only thing we ever had was the alarm clock to go home was three things. It was the street lights, it was our parents yelling out their voice, or it was so dark we couldn't see the ball coming at us and the moonlight.
right,
Those were our three lines to get home. Right. If one
right.
of those were true faults, then yeah, you're staying overnight at one of your friend's house and you ain't going home. And that was it. Today, the kids sit home and watch YouTube, play Roblox, to get outside. That's it. I'll tell you one. I bought Drew a shot put ball, right? 2 weeks ago. Bought him a shot put ball because he throws shot put for track.
Yeah,
For a week, it stayed in my van. About 3 days, it stayed outside in the rain, right? His mom finally brought it in and put it in our office. Has not made it down to this kid's bedroom yet, has not made it outside in his kid's hand. I have held this thing and moved it around in my hand more than this kid has done it, and it's like, so yeah, there is no when he comes home from track, he's tired.
yeah,
Julie has to go buy him hydrating things between one because he does track. He runs, I don't know, he does a long jump, right? He throws 3 balls and does 3 jumps, right? And then goes plays baseball, right? Julie feels like he needs to get a hydration thing because he's gonna pass out if he doesn't. So she wants to have hydration and all this other stuff for him. I'm like, "Are you joking?" This is not a full like, he didn't play a full game of basketball and turn around and play a whole nother basketball game, right? It's just 3 jumps and 3 throw balls, that's it. And then he goes in and plays baseball.
it's like what?
But kids today, their parents are, like, running out there and I mean, I was at the track meeting, this kid broke down, John, broke down and had a whole little posse of people walking behind him because he couldn't find his coach. And he had to go from one thing to another thing, and back when we were all sports, it was up to us to actually figure things out. Our parents didn't even show up to our track meets or anything. But now when you go to track meet, oh, you have all these kids and all these parents and everything like that, and kids and playing baseball now. They show up with 2 bats, a baseball bat thing, mm, things underneath their arms, 2 baseball bat, 2 baseball gloves. They can't catch. You go through 4 innings watching a pitcher throw the ball all over the place. There are more walks than anything. But these kids, they don't play sports. They don't play things. Why? Because parents don't care anymore. They just put them. They hand them a laptop. They hand them a thing, and that's it.
iPad or Kindle or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. But another thing is too, like this emphasis on hydration. I mean, it's good. I mean, I drink water,
Right.
but when I was a kid, I'd go take a drink of water when I got up in the morning. Maybe I took a couple of sips when I was at school at the water fountain.
Right.
I didn't go around drinking a 20-ounce bottle of water that I paid $2 for or something like that.
Oh no, 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 no. Now they no. You know what they do now?
What?
They take their own water bottle to school. They have to have their own water bottle, and they have to now have hydration packets in there, and they have to have flavored ones. They have to have flavored water bottles now when they go to school,
Yeah. So
and they have to have bubble tea when they go to
I
school.
hate bubble tea. God, I tried that twice, man. I mean, I thought maybe the place I got it before just made that.
Oh no, no, not bubble tea like you and I are thinking
Yeah.
about, but bubble tea.
Oh,
Bubble tea is like little bubbles on the
oh,
bottom
okay.
where they can drink them, and they have them. They have to have that when they go, and they have to have coffee. They have to have either coffee, a latte, or a mocha when they go.
When I was in high school, we had water fountains throughout the building. And then we had one place by the gym. We had a vending machine for pop. You know, back then it was 30 cents a can for a 12-ounce can. So
Right.
I mean, I'll do that maybe twice a week, drink a pop at school. And that was before Diet Coke. I mean,
Now it's $2.
yeah, it's like $2. But I mean, no, I just think that I mean, there's so much emphasis on I mean, hydration. Did everybody just drop off dead because they're so parched? I mean, before, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad there's a awareness of hydration needs for the human, but what do we do? All the guys that worked in the factories, I knew they probably drank some, but they didn't have water bottles. They probably just got drink from the water fountains.
They drink from water fountain, they
Right.
drink from a hose, they drink from whatever.
Right.
We all drink from hoses.
Right.
These kids don't know the first thing about I can tell you this much, and I'm guilty of this. Our kid has never drank from a hose.
Yeah.
Has never.
Well, it's like I drank from a hose. Another thing is I always thought about it. You leave that thing out in the summertime long enough, it heats up so damn hot. Anything in it's getting killed.
Right.
I mean, it tastes.
It's purified.
It took 5 minutes to get the heat and the heated water out of there, plus that rubbery smell or whatever vinyl
Right.
smell out of it. So I mean, I didn't think I had suffered any consequences for drinking out of a
No,
hose. I mean,
no consequences. We're fine.
So you think you should play the music today?
Play the music. We're gone. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.